Title: Shards of Truth. The first time I suspected something was wrong. It was a subtle change. The kind you can't quite put your finger on but still gnaws at the edges of your mind. The way Adam's good night texts became shorter, more perfunctory. The gradual decline in the warmth of his smile. That spark in his eyes that used to light up when he saw me. We'd been together for 4 years. 4 years of building something I thought was unshakable. Looking back, maybe I was naive, or maybe I just trusted too much. But nothing could have prepared me for what I uncovered. Nothing. It all began on a chilly October evening. The air was crisp, and the leaves outside were turning vibrant shades of gold and crimson. I'd been trying to reach Adam for hours. He wasn't answering his phone, which wasn't entirely unusual. He had a busy schedule as a marketing director for an up-and-coming firm. But something about it felt off this time. My calls went straight to voicemail, and my texts sat unread. Maybe he's just in a meeting, I muttered to myself as I sat curled up on the couch in our shared apartment, clutching a mug of chamomile tea. The apartment, usually my sanctuary, felt suffocating. The silence pressed against my skin like an unwelcome touch. To distract myself, I opened my laptop to play one of my favorite playlists. But as I did, a notification from Adam's email popped up in the corner of the screen. His account was still logged in. An oversight from when he'd borrowed my computer last week. Normally, I wouldn't even think of snooping. But the notification caught my eye. It was from someone named Rachel B. And the subject line read, "Can't stop thinking about last night." My stomach tightened into a painful knot. I stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity, my finger hovering over the mousepad. Every part of me screamed to close the laptop and forget I'd seen anything, to preserve the fragile illusion of our happy life together. But curiosity, or maybe instinct, got the better of me. With a trembling hand, I clicked on the email. The contents made my blood run cold. "Hey babe, it began. Last night was amazing. I can still feel your hands on me. You make me feel alive. Can't wait to see you again." I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was caving in. My vision blurring with hot, stinging tears. My brain scrambled to make sense of it, to find any explanation that didn't mean what I knew it did. Maybe it was a misunderstanding? A cruel joke? But deep down, I knew Adam was cheating on me. In the days that followed, I became a detective in my own relationship. I carefully gathered evidence while pretending everything was fine. I smiled when he walked through the door, asked about his day, and even kissed him goodnight. But the truth festered inside me like a wound, growing darker and more poisonous with each passing hour. I checked his phone when he was in the shower, finding more messages from Rachel. Texts, pictures, even a booking confirmation for a fancy hotel downtown. They'd been seeing each other for months. I even uncovered photos of them together at places Adam and I had once gone to as a couple. The lake where we'd had picnics. The cozy cafe that served the best vanilla lattes. The betrayal was absolute, but I wasn't ready to confront him yet. Not until I had a plan. One night, as Adam slept soundly beside me, I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. I felt like I didn't even know the man next to me anymore. The memories of our time together, our first date, the road trips, the nights spent laughing and dreaming about the future, felt tainted now, like they belonged to someone else. I wasn't just hurt, I was angry, furious, and no amount of tears or screaming would be enough to quench the fire burning inside me. If Adam thought he could break me, he was wrong. If he thought he could juggle me and his little affair without consequence, he was about to learn just how wrong. The first step in my plan was learning everything I could about Rachel. It didn't take long. Social media makes people careless. Her Instagram was a goldmine of information. She was a 26-year-old graphic designer with a penchant for overpriced brunches and yoga retreats. Her posts were a nauseating mix of motivational quotes and selfies. But it was the pictures she'd tagged Adam in that stung the most. A blurry shot of them sharing a margarita. A boomerang of their hands intertwined over a candlelit table. It hurt, but it also gave me ammunition. I spent the next week meticulously crafting my revenge. It wasn't enough to just confront Adam and call him out. No, I wanted him to feel the betrayal as deeply as I did. I wanted him to understand what it's like to have the ground ripped out from under you. The opportunity to execute my plan came sooner than I expected. Adam had been preoccupied all week. But on Friday night, he finally said, "I've got a late meeting tonight. Don't wait up." His voice was casual, but I didn't miss the flicker of discomfort in his eyes when I asked where the meeting was. He mumbled something about a client dinner and kissed my forehead before heading out. I waited until I was sure he was gone before springing into action. I grabbed the small hard drive I'd hidden in the back of my sock drawer. A drive containing every incriminating screenshot, email, and photo I'd collected over the past 2 weeks, and plugged it into my computer. My first move was sending an anonymous email to Adam's boss, Mr. Callahan. Attached were the hotel receipts and timestamps proving Adam had been using company resources for his extracurricular activities. The email also included a selection of Rachel's texts referencing Adam's work trips, which he'd apparently been using as excuses to cover up his absences. Next, I created an anonymous Instagram account and uploaded a carefully curated collage of their photos. Together, overlaid with text detailing their affair, I tagged Rachel and several of her colleagues, people who, based on her posts, were close to her. By the time I finished, my hands were trembling with adrenaline. I felt both exhilarated and sick. There was no undoing it now. The wheels were in motion. The fallout was swift. The next morning, Adam's phone buzzed incessantly. He groaned, rubbing his temples, and grabbed it off the nightstand. I watched him out of the corner of my eye, pretending to scroll through my own phone, as his face rapidly shifted from confusion to horror. "Everything okay?" I asked sweetly. Yeah, just work stuff," he mumbled, his voice tight. He jumped out of bed and disappeared into the bathroom with his phone. I smirked, savoring the first sweet taste of my revenge. Over the next week, Adam's life unraveled. I overheard his phone calls with Mr. Callahan, who was furious about the misuse of company funds. The affair wasn't just unethical. It was a public relations nightmare for the company. By Friday, Adam was summoned to HR and unceremoniously fired. But Adam's professional downfall was only half the story. Rachel's Instagram account went dark after my anonymous post went viral among her coworkers. It turned out she was in a long-term relationship herself, a fact her boyfriend of 3 years hadn't known until my exposé landed in his inbox. According to one of my friends who worked in the same industry, Rachel's reputation was in shreds. She'd been quietly let go from her job to avoid further scandal. As for Adam, he became a shell of the confident, charming man I once knew. He spent his days sulking in the apartment, avoiding my gaze, as if he couldn't bear to look at me, or himself. It wasn't long before I confronted him. It happened on a rainy Tuesday evening. The sky was a dreary gray, and the sound of rain drumming against the windows mirrored the storm brewing inside me. Adam was sitting at the dining table, staring blankly at his laptop. "Adam," I said, my voice calm but firm. "We need to talk." He looked up, his eyes heavy with guilt. "I know," he sighed. I've been meaning to. Quote, "Save it," I snapped, slamming my hand on the table. I know about Rachel. His face went pale, and for a moment, I thought he might faint. How? How did you? Quote, does it matter how? I shot back. My voice cracked, betraying the pain beneath my anger. You lied to me. For months. You made me feel like I was going crazy. Like I wasn't enough. Do you have any idea what that did to me? Quote, tears welled up in his eyes. I'm sorry, he choked out. I screwed up. I love you, Aaron. I never wanted to hurt you. Love me? I laughed bitterly. You don't hurt the people you love, Adam. You don't betray them. You don't destroy everything you've built with them for some fling. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. It's over, Adam. I'm done. I moved out the next day. The apartment was quieter without me there. A fact Adam would later confess in a series of desperate, guilt-ridden emails. But I didn't respond. I was done letting him take up space in my life, my heart, my mind. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into rebuilding. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from, started therapy to unpack the trauma of the betrayal, and even signed up for a photography class. Something I'd always wanted to do but had put on hold for Adam. The scars of his betrayal didn't fade overnight, but they became a part of my story, a reminder of my strength, my resilience, and my worth. Adam, meanwhile, faded into obscurity. Last I heard, he'd taken a low-paying job in another city, far from the life he'd once envisioned. A fitting end, I thought, for someone who underestimated the woman he betrayed. As for me, I was finally free, and I was just getting started. Word count, 3,590. Continued story. Moving out wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. The sheer act of packing my belongings brought waves of memories crashing over me. The photos tucked into old frames, the torn movie tickets from nights at the cinema, and the little notes we used to leave for each other. All of them felt like shards of glass in my chest. I had to remind myself, over and over again, why I was doing this. The apartment was eerily quiet as I placed the last box by the door. Adam lingered like a ghost in the corner of the living room. His once neatly combed hair was disheveled, his eyes red-rimmed and hollow. He looked nothing like the man who had charmed me at a coffee shop all those years ago. That Adam had dazzled me with his easy smile, the way he could make strangers laugh with just a few words. This Adam was broken, beaten down, brought low by his own choices. But I didn't feel pity. Not anymore. When did you stop loving me? I asked suddenly, breaking the silence as I taped up the last box. My voice was steady, but inside, my heart trembled with every beat. His head shot up, and he staggered a step closer. Aaron, I never stopped loving you. I scoffed, shaking my head. You don't understand real love, Adam. Real love doesn't destroy. It doesn't betray. My throat tightened, but I forced myself to stare him down. I need to know. When did it start? When did you decide I wasn't enough anymore? Quote, he opened his mouth to answer but faltered, his lips trembling as if the truth refused to come out. Finally, he whispered, it wasn't about you, Aaron. It was me. I was selfish. I was stupid. I thought I could have it all. You and the excitement I felt with her. I never wanted to lose you. But I didn't know how to stop myself. The words stung, sharp as a knife. I wanted to scream at him for his cowardice, for his weakness, for his pathetic attempt to excuse his betrayal. But instead, I nodded and said, that's the problem, Adam. You didn't stop yourself. And now you've lost everything. My voice was icy, void of the warmth I used to give him so freely. Adam didn't respond. He just stood there, shoulders slumped, as I picked up my first box and headed for the door. For a fleeting moment, I thought he might say something. Beg me to stay. Offer some last, desperate plea. But he didn't. He stayed silent. And I left. The weeks after my move were harder than I anticipated. I often found myself awake late at night, staring at the bare walls of my new apartment, haunted by the memories of what could have been. Grief is a strange beast. It doesn't just linger. It digs its claws deep into your soul and refuses to let go. But anger was my salvation. Every time I felt the ache of loss creeping in, I reminded myself of his lies, his deceit, the image of Rachel's texts on my laptop screen. That anger fueled me, lit a fire under me that pushed me forward. I wasn't just mourning my relationship. I was reclaiming myself, piece by piece. One day, as I walked through the park near my new apartment, I picked up my phone and scrolled through the photos I'd taken during the photography class I'd recently signed up for. The autumn leaves glowed like embers under the golden sunlight, and I felt a glimmer of peace as I captured them through my lens. The air smelled of rain and earth, and somewhere in the distance, children were laughing on a playground. The world felt alive, full of possibilities, as if it were reminding me that there was still beauty even after heartbreak. But then, a familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. "Aaron?" Quote. I turned slowly, and there he was, Adam, standing a few feet away, looking completely out of place amidst the vibrant scenery. His once pristine suits were replaced by a rumpled flannel shirt and jeans. His posture slouched as if the weight of the world had pressed him into the dirt. "What are you doing here?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. I gripped my phone tightly, unsure whether I wanted to throw it at him or just walk away. I didn't think I'd run into you," he stammered. His eyes searched my face desperately, as if he were trying to find some trace of the woman who had once loved him. "I've been trying to call you. I wanted to talk." "There's nothing left to talk about," I said firmly, my heart pounding. "We're done, Adam. You made sure of that." "I know," he said quickly, stepping closer. "But I need to apologize properly. Everything's a disaster now, and I know it's my fault. I lost my job. Rachel doesn't speak to me anymore. My reputation is ruined. Everyone knows what I've done. You burned my whole world down." I straightened my shoulders, meeting his gaze without flinching. "You burned it down yourself, Adam. I just made sure the fire couldn't be contained." He flinched, but I didn't relent. "You cheated. You lied. You betrayed me, your coworkers, your company, and Rachel's boyfriend. And now you're living with the consequences of your actions. That's not my fault. It's yours." I just exposed the truth. My voice shook with anger, but it felt good to let it out, to say what had been clawing at my chest for weeks. Adam looked utterly defeated, his body sagging like a puppet with its strings cut. "I wish I could take it all back," he whispered. "I don't expect you to forgive me. But, please, can you at least let me try to make things right? I'll do anything." I stared at him for a long moment, my emotions swirling like a storm inside me. But then I shook my head and said, "You don't get to make things right, Adam. You don't get to rewrite history and pretend what you did never happened. You made your choices. Now live with them." And without waiting for his response, I turned and walked away. Though I encountered Adam that day in the park, it turned out to be the last time I ever saw him. After our encounter, I blocked his number, his email, his social media accounts, every avenue through which he might try to reach me. My life became simpler without his shadow looming over it. But my revenge wasn't just about exposing him and Rachel. It was about reclaiming all the parts of myself I'd lost in the years I spent loving someone who didn't deserve me. It was about learning to live again. Not for Adam, not for anyone else, but for me. I threw myself into my photography, capturing images that reflected the beauty and resilience of the world around me. One of my favorite shots was of a single, broken leaf floating in a puddle, its edges curled and scarred yet still vibrantly red amidst the gray water. It reminded me, in some strange way, of myself. Months passed, and life grew brighter. I made new friends in my photography class, spent time reconnecting with my family, and even joined a book club at a cozy little cafe in town. The cafe was nothing like the one Adam and I had frequented. It was quaint and intimate, its walls lined with bookshelves and its air scented with freshly brewed coffee. One evening, as I sipped my chai latte and listened to the group debate the finer points of the picture of Dorian Gray, I realized something profound. I was happy, truly, deeply, undeniably happy. The pain of Adam's betrayal still lingered, but it no longer defined me. It was part of my story. Yes, but it wasn't the ending. I later heard through mutual acquaintances that Adam had moved back to his hometown to live with his parents. His career was in shambles, his relationships non-existent. Rachel had reportedly tried to repair her own reputation, but she'd struggled to find work after her role in the scandal surfaced. As for the boyfriend she betrayed, he'd moved to a different city and was apparently thriving, much like I was. It was a fitting end for both Adam and Rachel. They'd built their lives on lies, and those lies had come crashing down around them. Meanwhile, I was thriving. My revenge hadn't just exposed their wrongdoing. It had freed me. It had given me the chance to reclaim my voice, my power, my future. And for that, I was grateful. Because sometimes, the only way to truly heal is to burn down the past and rebuild from the ashes. Final word count, 2,267.